and then Charles, whoever the lecturer was, said, okay, now write a news report on what happened. So I promptly wrote a news report that said the Rhodes Journalism Department has resorted to novel methods to try and get students, you know, going and setting up fake kidnapping, and anyway, I don't know why I remember that, but and the only other thing I can remember from any lecture was Don McLennan calling after an English lecture that I had gone to in first year, calling me aside and saying, "Tom, do you smoke marijuana?" And I said, "No, I don't. Why?" He says, "You always look so happy." When I see you in my class, which is not often, but when I do, you sit at the back there and you just smile. So what's your secret? I said, "It's probably your afternoon naps." So, okay. But yeah, other than that, we had seminars. Some of them were terrible. I did go to seminars as well. And those, in fact, some of them were terrible, but some of them were great. You know, be like 6 people with a lecturer. And often have some really kind of interesting discussion. I had there's one lecturer who's famous for falling asleep in a seminar that he was taking. But basically he said, look, he asked a question, he said, "I'm not going to say anything more until you guys have answered it." And then he just, after 5 minutes of no one saying anything, he fell asleep. And that was a seminar, but yeah.
Now, what kind of what was different in the stuff you guys were tackling in the seminars to the lectures? Or were they the same? Was it pretty much just theory and okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think the big difference then was that we didn't. We didn't have labs. We didn't have. None of us were working on computers. I mean, we were writing our stories on typewriters. And if you're a journal student, you had your own typewriter. And it was the same even in things like design. Design was all on paper. You sketched dummies and stuff. You never actually produced anything. You just sketch dummies, and I mean the design exam was a 3-hour exam in the Great Hall. You'd have to go in there with a ruler, and like you get these sheets of copy that you'd have to cast off, which is a method for determining word count quickly. And your column lengths. And then you sit there with a piece of A3 paper and have to design a front page and a spread or whatever. And our design, we didn't have design pracs, we had design lectures. Yeah.
So Simon, was it already broken up in specializations then already?
Yeah, but not quite in the same way, not as specialized.
Okay.
You did either print or broadcast.
Okay.
So if you did print, you did design and photogenic.
Okay.
And writing. Everyone did
Okay.
writing. That wasn't a separate thing.
Okay.
Everyone had to do news writing.
Mm.
Or you did broadcast, and if you did broadcast, it was TV or radio.
Mm.
Yeah. So and also it was a 3-year degree. So the B Journal was a 3-year degree. There was no 4th year option.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a much reduced form. I mean, just yeah, over less than half of what you do in a specialization now, easily less than half, because I can't remember how it was set up, but I think like the design of the photojournal were pretty much a semester. There may even have been a term. But in fact it was, because a couple of years later, after being in Joburg for 2 years working for the Student Press Union, I came back here to work for East Coast News Agencies, and I ended up teaching the design component. And it was definitely just a term. I had like 7 lectures.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Simon, when you say you went up to Joburg and then you came back here for the Student Press,
Yeah.
and then after that, what did you do between then, when you finished, in 1989, 1990?
No, when I was in Grahamstown for 5 years, 84 to the end of 89. In 89, I was a registered student. In fact, I was on the SRC, but I was working at East Cape News Agency, and I was the SRC media officer. Produced those publications. First digital publications produced. First publications produced fully DTP, except for the pictures that still had to be bromided and pasted in, at Rhodes. But I'd also for a number of years been on the regional committee, regional executive of the South African Student Press Union, which was the student newspapers from Rhodes, UCT, Wits, PMB, UND, some from some of the Afrikaans, Stellenbosch, Duckies, but it also included a whole lot of society newspapers. ISEC, which is a accounts, International Economics and Accounting Students Association. They had a newsletter. Law societies. I mean, there were loads of societies on campuses throughout the country that produced their own little newsletters and pamphlets and stuff, and they were affiliated to SASPU. We had this congress at the end of the year, and they had voting rights and so on. And we had this training workshop, a yearly training workshop called Multimedia Mind Blast. Anyway, at the end of '89, I stood for election to the head office, and I was elected, and I became the national training officer. And then the following year, I was re-elected as Secretary General. So I spent those 2 years based at Wits, but travelling around the country, visiting campuses and training and helping organise publications and do various things.
Sure. Now, Simon, how did the, if in any way, do you think did the did your time as a journalism student, what you learned away from it in student press, inform and perhaps influence your practice then later on, going into doing that from 1989, and your values when doing it?
I think it was less about how they influenced me, but that's everything I knew. Pretty much came from working in the student press. Picked up some, the odd technical thing in class, but ways of working, ways of writing, ways of looking at stories, all of that was not just influenced, but profoundly determined by what I was doing in the student press. But I saw myself as an activist, but at the same time I was always good for keen on a good story, no matter what it was about. I worked as a student. I worked a number of holiday jobs. I worked at the Weekly Mail. I worked at the Star. In fact, I worked at the Star a number of times, and in some cases for like quite a few weeks. And the first time I worked there, because I was new, they sent me out on weather stories. Things with trees blown apart by lightning, or buildings with cracks in them because of lightning, or floods, and I used to love doing that kind of stuff. Exciting. I got one of my big stories got sent out to where was it? Hour or two's drive from Joburg. Earthquake. I can't remember where it was.